Shabbat Shalom, Hebrew Israelite family. Glory and honor due to Yahweh, the creator of heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is. Glory and honor due to Messiah, Yahweh Shah, who is the Passover blood that protected us from evil, darkened angels, who is the atonement for our sin, who is the ratification of the covenant between Father Yahweh and his people. Glory and honor to Messiah Yahweh. Glory and honor to Father Yahweh and the soon kingdom to be established with Father and with Messiah and with his chosen people. Greetings to the awakening 12 tribes in this world filled with darkness and confusion, how the Father's Spirit is awakening his chosen ones. Greetings to you. Greetings to the brothers and sisters who also represent the same in the chat. Brother David Harriet, Sister Brother Akawan Banya, Superstar Stephen Kelly, Live Righteous, and especially double blessings on Brother Harriet, who buried his father Melbourne recently. I know exactly what that's like. Many of you know what that's like. The thing is, brothers and sisters, what I learned from the death of my own father was I understood, because I wondered why I was so sad, but I understood that it was never the Heavenly Father's plan that we should experience the pain of death. It was never the Heavenly Father's plan that his people should be separated from people they love through death. Death came as a result of the rebellion and disobedience of mankind on planet Earth. And that is why when the Bible talks about Revelation chapter 21, that there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth will be passed away, and there'll be no more sea. And then he said, there'll be no more death. One of the first things he said, there'll be no more death. And in fact, in Revelation chapter 20, it says, death shall be thrown into the lake of fire, and there'll be no more death. So, brothers and sisters, you and I will be restored into a renewed kingdom, restored, renewed bodies and spirits, restored in new fellowship with each other, in harmony with the Creator, in harmony with each other, in harmony with the nature. We will all be in harmony. Right now, we don't know what that's like. We really don't, because we've never lived it. The closest we will get to that before the kingdom is the latter rain. The latter rain that the book of Joel talks about, the latter rain that is just the beginning, that is the start of our complete and utter transformation and preparation for the kingdom, will cause us to have a fellowship, a sweetness. And we kind of already feel it, do we not? When we got together, whenever us get together, whether I'm visiting Akawan Banya and his beautiful family, whether we're all in far together, whether I see Brother Gary Joseph, there's always a sweetness of fellowship that can only be possible because of the Spirit of the Most High. We praise the Most High for that, you see. So, brothers and sisters, that is going to be expanded. That fellowship is going to be expanded because there'll be no more opposition to the Spirit that the Father brings. There'll be no more opposition. There'll be no more liars. There'll be no more division. There'll be no more deceit. There'll be one God that everybody knows. What does he say? He said, for they shall all know me, from the least to the greatest. They shall all know me, Hebrews chapter 8. So we praise the Most High that's the promise. And we praise the Most High for the promises, right? We praise him for the promises because the promises, the Bible say, it's the promises that cause us to escape corruption that is in the world through lust. It is the promises of the Most High that cause us, the promise of resurrection, the promise of no more death, the promise of a new kingdom, a renewed kingdom, a restored kingdom, the promise of an eternal spirit from the seven spirits that are before his throne to come upon you and me. These promises are tremendous, and there's many more, as we know. And so, brothers and sisters, I really always admonish and will continue. Look in this word. Pray to the Heavenly Father, the creator of heaven and earth, and look and see the promises he has made. And you don't have to doubt them when you know him. And they are powerful promises, and they get you through. I mean, oftentimes in our recent trials, my wife and I look back not just on the promises of his word, but also what he has shown us. See, brothers and sisters, we have a double blessing, triple, really. We have the word of the Most High with his spirit. We have each other. And he also shows us dreams and warnings. He makes sure that the promise is continually fulfilled to show unto his servants things that must shortly come to pass. Isn't that right? He always, people like to blame the creator for their own problems. That's what Adam and Eve's first reaction was when they disobeyed and believed the enemy. They tried to point the finger at the creator, and a lot of people still do that. And that's, I think we can agree that a sign of maturity is when we stop pointing the finger at others and look in the mirror, correct? We can look in the mirror. And I like the story of the recovering alcoholic in this sense. The alcoholic begins his true or her true recovery when she stands up or he stands up and says, my name is XYZ and I'm an alcoholic. Before that, they would tell people, I don't have no problem. I can stop anytime I want. Have you heard that one? I can stop anytime I want. I ain't got no alcohol problem. I don't know what you're talking about. But the day they decide, whatever situation caused them to hit what we call rock bottom, and they decide to stand up in front of other witnesses and say, this is my name, I'm an alcoholic. That's the day they can start the process of recovery, because they've been humbled by the situation. And that's with all of us in all facets of life, in all classes, in all colors, in all races. It's the same thing. The day where we accept what we really are, and especially us who are fortunate enough to know the Heavenly Father, when we accept what we really are and where our weakness really is and how much we really need the Creator, this is the beginning of the recovery. I was reading, it was just a little sentence. It was about a basketball player named Kobe Bryant. He died in a horrible accident a few years ago, but there's a picture of him with his right hand in the cast, and he's shooting the basketball with his left hand. And he said we should be thankful not for success, but for the journey. So anything you're aiming for, like you want to lose weight, I'm never satisfied with my weight. My wife tells me, you look good. And I say, I'm fat. To me, I'm always fat. And so I'm like, I need to appreciate, though, the journey to go from wherever I was to wherever I want to be. And that's really a real key in life. All of us, brothers and sisters, are going through a journey. Is that correct? Even our walk with the Creator is a path that's part of a journey. And we should enjoy and appreciate the journey. Yes, we're going to be happy when we get to the sea of glass. We're going to be very happy when we under the tree of life. We're going to be very happy in the kingdom, ecstatic that we can't even understand. But the journey of faith that it takes us to get there, we should be thankful for the journey. Praise the Most High. And I'm trying my best, since I read that this week, to try to focus on the journey and the blessings that come with the journey to cause you to get there. You know, today we're going to be looking at Ezekiel chapter 32. And the Most High is so good. He gives me different things. So we've been looking at Ezekiel in terms of Egypt for a while now. I mean, really, this is the last of 4 chapters in a row, 32, 31, 30, and 29, where Egypt is the focus, right? And he has given me something different about each one. Now, this one today is very powerful in the sense that, well, put it this way. Ezekiel 20, if we just went through Ezekiel 20. Those of you who have not been in this Bible study, or even if you have, I would suggest you really go back and look at Ezekiel chapter 20. And the reason I say that is because it explains us. It does. It explains us. And it explains why Yah is so hard on Egypt in these 4 chapters. Okay. Well, look, when our fathers went from the land of Canaan, the promised land, and they went down and followed Joseph into Mizraim, they stayed there for a while. Some say 400 years. As I look at it, our fathers were not in the land of Egypt for 400 years. The prophecy was them being strangers in a land that wasn't theirs. In other words, the prophecy was about them not having inherited their land officially, you understand? So that when they left Egypt, Moses is quoted as saying it was 430 years. What does that mean? That means it was 30 years from when Abraham had Isaac and weaned him. So he said, thy seed, Abraham, he told, thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. So now Abraham was 75 when he left Ur the Chaldees. But the prophecy was for Abraham's seed. So that starts with Isaac. And in the Bible, in Leviticus, it tells us a child is not counted as part of the population until they are weaned. And they are weaned. In other words, they get off the breasts of their mama at age 5. That's Bible. So Abraham has it's 30 years from when he left Ur the Chaldees to when he had Isaac and Isaac was weaned. If you recall, they had a big celebration about the weaning of Isaac. Okay. And so that was the first 30 years. And then it was 400 years from that point when Isaac was weaned until they left Egypt. That's why it says the sojourn was 430 years, you understand. They weren't 400 years in Egypt. And if you could, I would tell people, I admonish you, go back into the scriptures and look at the ages and the timeline. So you go from age 5 with Isaac, right? And then you go from there. And Isaac lived to be 180 years old. So there was 175 years when Isaac, and then later it was Jacob and Edom. They dwelt in Canaan. They didn't own Canaan. It wasn't their land. So you understand? They were strangers in that land. They were strangers in that land. You understand? So Isaac was 5 years old. He lived another 175 years. When Isaac turned 60, he had these twins with Rebekah. He was 60 years old when he had the twins, which was Edom and Jacob. Okay? So that was 60 years. That's 55 years. Then from Jacob's birth, Jacob died at age 147. He had been in Egypt 10 years. So for 137 years, they were still in the land of Canaan, and they still didn't own it. They were still strangers. You understand what I'm saying? Strangers in the land of Canaan. So when Jacob turned 137, he came to Egypt. Jacob died 10 years later. Okay, so they didn't spend 400 years in Egypt. They were 400 years as strangers. Y'all catching me? And again, I don't trust me. I'm just telling you where I get my information from. Most of that's Genesis. But then you go into when Jacob actually went into Egypt at age 137. And then really, I'm going to give you a little trick. How old was Joseph when Jacob came into Egypt at age 137? I'm going to tell you. How old was Joseph? Joseph was probably like 37, 39 years old. So Joseph had been there. See? So again, when they left Egypt to come to the promised land, they probably had been in Egypt as a nation for less than 200 years. Okay, when you understand all of that. Now, that being the case, I brought all that up to say, when you look at Ezekiel 20, you understand that it got to the point that our forefathers were trying to act like Egyptians. Well, they had been inculcated, excuse me for the big word, but they had been inculcated. They had been absorbed into the Egyptian culture. And listen carefully, because this is you and me now. That's why I'm bringing it up. They have been absorbed into the Egyptian culture. They had started to worship like Egyptians. They had started to eat like Egyptians. They had started to believe they should be accepted the same way Egyptians were. You understand? Now, when they came a Pharaoh that didn't know Joseph, he was not with that. He was not with that. He said, and it quoted in Exodus chapter 1, he said, if there's a war, these people might fight against us and with our enemies. Wait, do you think that fear exists today in the United States of America? That if there's a war, and I'm not talking about a war where you run into somebody else's country and invading their space. I'm talking about a war when another country comes to your land. And Muhammad Ali said it very well. They asked him, won't you fight for your country? He said, ain't no Vietnamese coming over here to fight me. They're fighting you. And that scared them to death, them being the people that took over this land. He said, they ain't coming over here to fight me. If they come here, it's for you. And that's been born true. Whenever there's been hostages from the United States that have been Hebrew, they always get treated better than hostages from the United States that are of the Europeans. They always get treated better. Why is that? Because perhaps the other countries understand we don't belong here. We were never part of this. We were brought into it. We were enslaved into it. They understand that. But there's some of us that don't understand. This is not what you were supposed to be. This is not the gods you were supposed to worship. This is not where you came from. But yet you accept it because you don't know anything else. See, that is what made our forefathers' sin so grievous. They knew who they was. They knew they came from Abraham. They knew they came from Isaac. They knew they came from Jacob. Jacob was still alive. They knew where they came from. And yet, in less than 2 centuries, they started thinking like the land they were in. They started worshiping the gods of the land they were in, not the God that guided Abraham to Canaan and promised the land to Abraham's children, promised Abraham to be a great nation. No, not that one. No, they were worshiping the gods of Egypt. They were worshiping the gods of Egypt. And our God that we serve said very plainly, didn't he? He's a jealous God. Wait. I don't think he made that a subtle hint. I think he made that a loud and clear command. Warning. I am Yhwh that brought you out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. Thou shalt serve no other gods before me. I'm a jealous God, he said. And yet, our fathers forgot that. Now, you and me, all these thousands of years later, for us to even mention, for me to even talk about this right now, that didn't come from man. You understand? For me to even mention us in that context, that did not come from man. And yet, the word of the Most High, the word verifies what I just said. With 2 or 3 witnesses or more, Okay, the word verifies what it just said. Okay, yet it's true. So now you and me, having been in this, what's the word I'm looking for? In Satan's seat, having been where Satan's seat is for more than 400 years. We've been in captivity for more than 400 years. And just think about this, brothers and sisters. This is why there's so many lies and confusion in the United States. Our enemies are trying to confuse us. Still, I can tell you from the word what's going on, right? But there's still a lot of people that won't believe it. So that's cool. That's going to happen. That's the situation. Obviously, it is. But we weren't brought here by our friends. You were not brought here by your friends. You were brought here by people that had already decided you were going to be their slaves. And not just for a few short years. You were going to be their slaves as long as you continue to exist. Tell me I'm lying. They did not bring you here on a 10-year plan to say, okay, you're going to be our slaves for 10 years, then we're going to let you go, and then you and us will be equal. That was not the plan. The plan was to bring you here to build their nation for free, for as long as you could live. And if you had children, they would also be in the same situation of chattel slavery. That was the plan. But the Creator thwarted their plan, had them kill each other to the tune of 500,000 in the Civil War. That was the bloodiest war the United States have ever had by far. More Americans died in the Civil War than all the other wars combined. I'm not lying. More American citizens, Europeans, died in the Civil War than all the other wars. You can add them all up. The Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, the First World War, the Second World War, the wars they went against the Philippines, the war in Korea, the war in Vietnam, the war in the Middle East, the second war in the Middle East, the war now in Iraq. More Americans died in the Civil War than in all of those wars combined. And they could lie about it all they want. But the truth was, we was in chains. And once the Emancipation Proclamation was issued, history tells us that thousands of slaves just ran off their plantations to get away from them because they was intelligent. Malcolm X said they didn't care where they had to go, but they was getting away, and they weren't given anything: no land, no tools, no payment, nothing. And why? They're going now. Listen, our enemy's gonna pay for that now, but they weren't given nothing because our reward is coming from the Creator. We're not just getting some land. Ain't no 40 acres gonna help us. We're gonna take the whole earth because the Creator is gonna give us the whole earth. See, so that's what I'm saying. There were thousands. Fannie Lou Hamer said, we've never accepted slavery. Our enemies try to act like they did us a favor by raping and lynching and enslaving us and putting us in the bottom. She said we had to live under it, but we never accepted it. And she said that the U.S. flag is drenched in black blood. And she ain't lied. She ain't lied. That's the truth. See, that's the truth. Now, look, the message that the Most High has me teaching is truth. Those that want truth, whatever color you are, whatever your skin tone, wherever country you was born, whatever your two parents were, you can receive truth. That's your choice. You don't have to. Of course, those of us that have the greatest detrimental effect on us, we're willing to receive truth because ain't nothing else out there for us. Some of these coons trying to act like they're Americans. You ain't never been an American. How do I know? Well, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Honestly, truthfully, let me ask you a question. When the Italians came here from Egypt, excuse me, when they came here from Italy on their boats to Ellis Island, has there ever had to be a special law, a civil rights law for Italians to become full-fledged Americans? Has there ever had to be a special law, a march on Washington, hoses on and dogs on their citizens for Germans to become Americans? Or were they Americans once they got off the boat? When Polacks decide, I want to go to America for a better life, and Blazinski came over here, did they have to have any special laws for them to become Americans? So that way you can go any place as an American citizen, you can go to any place in the country you want to. You ain't got to have special sundown laws, fear for your life for going certain places. But we different. We didn't decide to get on a boat and come here. We were captives. We were kidnapped. And we were brought here with chains on our necks, our forefathers. All of you that's here, you are a descendant of somebody that survived the transatlantic journey. That's what you are. You are the seed of a persons that survived one of the most heinous and hideous journeys in the history of the planet. You are a seed of that survival. You understand? The same with England. I know my grandfather, who passed away in 1988, he had to first leave Jamaica, and this was the path. He would go to Jamaica. He was from Jamaica, and he would go to London, Britain, because you see, the British ended their slave trade about 30, 40 years before the United States ended theirs. So British had already declared Jamaicans as partly British citizens. So what the Jamaicans would do, and this is a lot of countries did this, but the Jamaicans would go to Britain, establish themselves there, and then come over to the United States as British citizens, see? Because it was hard for the United States to deny them that way. If you came straight from Jamaica to the United States, you would very well not getting here. So what my grandfather did, he went from Jamaica to Britain, from Britain to New York. And once he got to New York as a British citizen, he came into Canada, because Canada also had ended their slave trade before the United States. So then he established himself as a Canadian citizen, and then he sponsored several of my family to come from Jamaica, the same route, and get to Canada. That's how we had to do it. Whereas if he was Polish, he could have just came from Poland to Ellis Island, set up in the United States, and been a citizen. But no, we had to do it differently. Why? Because we are different. That's what we don't understand. We are different. The fact that you were brought here in chains, and the reason you were brought here in chains, and how you got to be brought here in chains, how you went from King David's seed to a slave of George Washington. Did you hear me? How you went from King David's seed to a slave of George Washington. How you went from Abraham's seed to a Jefferson. How did that happen? That's what you got to know. See, this is the thing that Louis Farrakhan, Malcolm X, none of them answer the question, brothers and sisters. They will tell you this happened to you. They will tell you, you had the Ghanaian Empire, you had the Ashanti Empire, you had the Mali Empire. No, that was the Muslim Empire. We existed before that. That's not where we're from. That's where they snatched us from, but that's not our origins. Our origins is in the loins of Abraham. Our origins is in the loins of Abraham when he was called from Ur the Chaldees to a land that he was going to be a stranger for 430 years. That's where we from. That's where we really from. See? And why we got here is because our God is a jealous God, and we gave him reason to be jealous by how we started acting when we was around Egyptians. And brothers and sisters, here it's the same thing. We're in a culture of Europeans and we think we belong in this culture. And just like this, check this out. This is Exodus chapter 32. Exodus chapter 32. And this says a lot, brothers and sisters, about us today. It really does. Exodus chapter 32, from verse 1 down to verse 9. Exodus chapter 32, from verse 1 down to verse 9. And this is why when you really study the word and you really pray to your creator, he can open up your mind. He can free you from the chains that they have on our minds. They first had chains on our necks. They took the chains off our necks to replace them with chains on our mind. It's for real. But when the Father comes into your spirit, he frees you from the chains of your mind. Okay, praise the Most High. So now, Exodus chapter 32, beginning at verse 1. Again, we're talking about Ezekiel 32 today. Okay. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which shall go before us. As for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. And Aaron said unto them, Break off the golden earrings which are in the ears of your wives and of your sons and of your daughters, and bring them unto me. And all the people brake off the golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them unto Aaron. And he received them at their hand, and fashioned it with a gravening tool, after he had made it a molten calf. And they said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And Aaron saw it, and he built an altar before it. And Aaron made proclamation and said, Tomorrow is a feast unto Yhwh. And they rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and to drink and rose up to play. And Yhwh said unto Moses, Go, get thee down, for thy people which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten calf and have worshipped it and have sacrificed thereto, and said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And Yhwh said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. One of the hallmarks of who we are is that, isn't it? You know yourself. You've seen us. One of the hallmarks of who we are is that, and one of the great signs of grace and mercy toward us is that the Creator stills with us, though we be stiff-necked. You see, brothers and sisters, one of the reasons you and I are going to be part of the capital city of the capital nation of the new kingdom is we will be the greatest examples of grace and mercy that the world has ever seen. So in spite of this stiff-necked, in spite of worshiping the calf, he still brings us back. Why? Because of his promise to Abraham. That's why. Because his promise to Abraham keeps him bringing us back and forgiving us and causing us. We are the greatest examples of grace and mercy. We went through all of this hell in all of these thousands of years since we left the land because of the Romans. And still at the end, he's waking us up. We're still waking up. We went through all of this hell. The word was in the hands of heathen. His word was in the hands of the heathen, being translated by the heathen for us to learn the heathen language. And still, he's waking us up as he promised he would. Praise the Most High. So you see, brothers and sisters, our forefathers were used to trusting Egypt. In fact, let's take a look some more. Let's look some more. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 30. Isaiah chapter 30. Look at Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1 and 2. Actually, 1, 2, and 3. Watch this same situation. 1, 2, and 3. Woe to the rebellious children, saith Yhwh, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the spirit of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. Well, brothers and sisters, it makes logical sense that the gods of the people that kidnapped us, tortured us, hung us, enslaved us with the intent of forever enslaving us, their gods cannot be our God. They're not our God. The gods that they paint pictures of to look like them cannot be our God. Our God cannot be the God that put us in chattel slavery. But when we read this, we see, you see, all of us are trusting in their gods. We're trusting in their system. You have to understand something. This system only works for you while they allow it to work for you. If you're getting government assistance, you only get government assistance while they allow you to get government assistance. When it's in their best interest for you to stop getting government assistance, it's going to go away. When it's in their best interest to let you go from your job, it's going to go away. And don't think what you have in a bank or whatever an account you have is yours. When it's in their best interest, they will take all. They did it already. The Japanese had their own houses, their own neighborhoods, their own culture in California. Until Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, then they took all from them, took it all, and put them in concentration camps. Now, at the end of the war, they gave them reparations. They did. The Japanese received reparations, but we're not Japanese. We're Hebrews. So when they're ready to take your stuff, they're going to take it. That is why, again, I mentioned when entertainers talk, don't think of them as your leaders. They're entertainers. They're going to say what their employers tell them to say or allow them to say. And it's never the straight truth. It's never going to be. Don't hold your breath and think because a Kanye or a Kyrie or somebody or Jaylen Brown starts to act like they're coming. They ain't coming. Either you in or you out. And we have had examples. Fred Hampton was in. Malcolm X was all in. You understand? Either you in or you out. We have had examples of that. And it's going to come again. Also, Isaiah chapter 31. Isaiah chapter 31. Verses 1. What is this? Verse 1. I'm going to read verse 1, 2, and 3. This is very important too for our current situation. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help and stay on horses and trust in chariots, because they are many, and in horsemen, because they are very strong, but they look not to the Holy One of Israel, neither seek Yhwh. Yet he also is wise and will bring evil and will not call back his words, but will rise against the house of the evildoers and against the help of them that work iniquity. Now the Egyptians are men and not Yhwh, and their horses are flesh and not spirit. When Yhwh shall stretch out his hand, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that is hoping shall fall down, and they all shall fall together. See, brothers and sisters, let's put it all together. Yesterday, we talked about living at peace with all men, didn't we? We talked about how Mordecai Nehemiah, Abraham were in strange places and they trying to live at peace. And how if you don't want none, don't start none, right? That's still the case. But we must understand while we living in the lands that we're now living in, we're not in the kingdom that's designed for us. You understand? When the Father brings Messiah and they come and establish the kingdom, that will be a kingdom made for us. Until then, no kingdom is made for you. So you try your best to do your best in this system. But understand, one day soon, all of us going to have to make decisions. Some of us want to stay with Egypt. And the Bible is already telling us what you can expect. And some of us understand that's not our land, that's not our system, that's not what's made for us. And we're trusting in the word of the Most High and the Spirit of the Most High to guide us. Now, that's going to be, brothers and sisters, that's why you and I are going to have to go through a tremendous, tremendous training. The Most High will bring us to, and He's already starting it. And part of the training is learning to wait on the Most High and His word. Moses said, I'm going up into Mount Sinai and I'll be back. They waited 40 days, and when they didn't see Moses no more, they gave up faith. Brothers and sisters, you and I are being challenged right now to trust in the word of the Most High, to trust in the Spirit of the Most High, and have faith in our God and in His Spirit and in His word. We're going to be trusted like that, brothers and sisters, because you're going to be tried to the uttermost. And your choice will be stay in your warm house, with your warm dwelling, with your air conditioning, with your monthly check, with your job, have a whole bunch of fake friends, get a whole bunch of stuff, or leave. Or leave. It's going to come down to that. And we're going to need tremendous faith and trust in the word of our Creator and in the Spirit of our Creator. See, he said, what he said here? He said they don't look unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek Yhwh. They don't look unto His Spirit. They're looking to man. Now look, we're used to looking to man. Look at us now. Get up every morning. And I like to see what the weather's going to be. Where do I get that information from? Where do I get the weather from? Well, I look at it at Weather Channel. And I'm looking at man's forecast for the weather. Am I not? And I'm trusting man for the weather. Am I not? I say, oh, it's going to rain today. Why? Because the forecast said. Well, there's going to be a day we're not going to have the forecast to look at. We're not going to have a phone. We're not going to have internet. Satellites ain't going to work. It's coming. We're used to. We know, okay, I get Social Security. I know my Social Security comes on a certain time every month. I look in the bank, there it is. But one day it's not going to be there. What am I going to do then? It's like this channel. Look at this channel. This channel is YouTube. We can meet here. I can do videos here. But one day they're going to cut it off. One day you'll be looking and I won't be on the channel no more. You say, what happened? They decided it's over. The Most High said it's over. What then? Is what it is. I tell people, 20 years ago, when somebody would get 1 million subscribers, they were almost guaranteed high 6 figures or 7 figures income on YouTube. YouTube has made many millionaires until they decided to stop making millionaires. You see, I have seen people make their own videos and their own channels on travel to other countries, the Black experience and travel to other countries, and getting money from YouTube from traveling to other countries, making or food critics or exercise critics or women on weight loss and wearing bikini. People have made millions of dollars until YouTube said, okay, we're done. and they got in trouble. And you started to see them. I've seen people from third world countries that were making US dollars. So there's been people from, say, like the Philippines. They were making all kind of money in US dollars and living large in their country until YouTube said enough. Or they severely curtailed the payout. And you can't do nothing about it. You can whine about it, but they ain't going to change because you whining. Do you want it what they give you or don't you? That's what it comes down to. See, brothers and sisters? So all of us are being trained to not trust Egypt, to trust the Creator. So for now, he allows your paycheck. He allows your house. He allows you to stay where you at for now. But you must understand, it's for now. I get money from YouTube. I don't get a lot. I used to get more. I get less than half. I used to get less than half. And I know why it is. It ain't because, so I got 3 times the subscribers I had when I started 5-6 years ago. 3 times, more than that. More than that. Thousands and tens of thousands. But I get less than half the money. Now, how's that? Because somebody decided, okay, we're going to cut down how much you get. Now, you ain't hear me complain about it because I've never decided I need this to live. I never decided that. I always knew it was temporary, just like I'm telling you. Brothers and sisters, everything in this world is temporary. Everything. The culture is temporary. The food is temporary. The system is temporary. Everything is temporary. The only thing eternal is truth and righteousness. Anything the Heavenly Father makes is eternal. Anything man makes 100% of the time is temporary. You must understand this. If you're getting money from some source, whatever that source is, you must understand it's temporary. One day it's going to stop. Money itself, what are we looking at? You're looking at dollar bills. You could already see the dollar bill struggling against other currencies, struggling against the sterling, struggling against the euro. You could already see it. Then they create their cryptocurrency. That's temporary. Temporary. It's all going to go away, y'all. So we must really learn, and the Most High is teaching us to trust in what's eternal, to trust in his spirit. That's eternal. The sky is going to always exist. He's going to be renewed, restored, reconstituted, but the sun is always going to exist. And the earth is always going to exist. It's just going to be renewed. Those of us with that will stay with that, you see. Praise the Most High. But trusting in Egypt or Babylon, that's temporary. And if that's where you put your trust, you're going to be very disappointed. Very disappointed. Okay? Exactly. So, brothers and sisters, this is what makes us different than anybody else. Both the message and the bloodline. The understanding of the eternal versus the temporary. Egypt was going to be temporary. But our forefathers did not understand that. And they were being absorbed into the culture that was temporary. So we're being absorbed into a culture that's European, that's temporary. America is temporary. Europe is temporary. All of Europe is temporary. What you see as the continent of Africa is temporary. It's not going to be called Africa no more. It wasn't called Africa in the Bible. Africa came from a European. That name came from a European. They slapped even their name on the continent. Do you understand what that means? That's like you and I, Green, Smith, Jones. Those are the names of our slave masters that is on us. That makes ownership, brothers and sisters. So now they come. That's why when you see the Pope come someplace, he came to the United States when George Bush was president, the second Bush. First thing he did when he got off the plane, what'd he do? He knelt down on his knees on the red carpet and kissed the ground. Why? You think that means he's respecting the United States? You know what he's really saying? He owns the United States. That's what he's saying. And George Bush and Barbara Bush came, not Barbara, the second wife, I forgot her name, but they came down. She wearing black over her face. Why? Because they're acknowledging the greater that was standing in front of them. See? It's right in front of us, but people don't see it. You understand? So, you see what I'm saying? So, brothers and sisters, this is the facts of where we are according to the word of the Most High. And this is the facts of how he's training us to be prepared. And we're just talking about a couple of years. We're not talking about a decade. We're not. This is just a couple of years. And brothers and sisters, this is all going to blow up. When the Messiah returns, long before he hits the earth, long before you see him, you're going to see the hail come first. The seventh plague, the hail is going to come first. And when the hail comes, all these satellites, they're going to be knocked out of the sky. There ain't going to be no cell phone service. Ain't going to be no television. Ain't going to be no planes flying. That's over. And it's going to come quick. And it's just like these movies. They're putting up all these movies to show aliens. Are they not? They show spaceships coming from someplace to show aliens. You know what that's for, don't you? They're trying to prepare you, because when this happens, it's going to be worse than that. You understand? Praise the Most High. Now, let's go to Ezekiel chapter 32. Ezekiel chapter 32. Because chapter 33 is a whole different vibe. Chapter 32 is the last vibe of smacking Egypt. And the reason I'm mentioning all of this is because this last vibe is to teach you and me to stop trusting in Egypt. Because now he's spanking Mizraim because we trusted in them too much. We trusted in their culture. We trusted in their gods. We trusted in their men. We trusted them. So he said, I'm going to show you about trusting in man. And that's an example for you and me today. Isn't what the Bible says? That the 144,000, the two witnesses lied in the street that is spiritually called Sodom in Egypt, where Messiah was crucified. Didn't it say that in Revelation? Because he's trying to tell you that's the enemies of the Most High. We can live at peace. We can trust the Most High and try to live at peace with all men. Do our best in this system, but understand it's all temporary. We're about to see the end of it all. It ain't going to last. And most of the people are not ready for it. No way. Not ready. Not ready at all. Praise the Most High. Ezekiel chapter 32, verse 1. And it came to pass in the 12th year, in the 12th month, in the first day of the month, that the word of Yhwh came unto me, saying, Son of man, take up a lamentation for Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and say unto him, Thou art like a young lion of the nations. Thou art as a whale in the seas. And thou camest forth with thy rivers, and troublest the waters with thy feet, and foulest their rivers. Thus saith the Most High Yahweh, I will therefore spread out my net over thee with the company of many people, and they shall bring thee up in my net. Then will I leave thee upon the land, I will cast thee forth upon the open field, and will cause all the fowls of heaven to remain upon thee. And I will fill the beasts of the whole earth with thee. And I will lay thy flesh upon the mountains and fill the valleys with thy height. I will also water with thy blood the land wherein thou swimmest, even to the mountains and to the rivers shall be full of thee. Brothers and sisters, think of this. This is a husband that caught up with the man that tried to steal his wife's heart. You understand? This is the jealous husband that caught up with the man that was coming in through the back door and he didn't know it. Then he found out. Verse 7. And when I shall put thee out, I will cover the heaven and make the stars thereof dark. I will cover the sun with a cloud, and the moon shall not give her light. All the bright lights of heaven will I make dark over thee, and set darkness upon thy land, saith the Most High Yahweh. I will also vex the hearts of many people when I shall bring thy destruction among the nations. Also the countries which thou hast not known. Yea, I will make many people amazed at thee, and their kings shall be horribly afraid for thee. When I shall brandish my sword before them, and they shall tremble at every moment. Every man for his own life in the day of thy fall. For thus saith the Most High Yahweh, the sword of the king of Babylon shall come. By the swords of the mighty will I cause thy multitude to fall, and the terrible of the nations, all of them. And they shall spoil the pomp of Egypt, and all the multitude thereof shall be destroyed. I will destroy also all the beasts thereof from beside the great waters. Neither shall the foot of man trouble them any more, nor the hoofs of beasts trouble them. Then will I make their waters deep, and cause their rivers to run like oil, saith the Most High Yahweh. When I shall make the land of Egypt desolate, and the country shall be destitute of that which it was full, when I shall smite all them that dwell therein, then shall they know I am Yahweh. This is the lamentation wherewith they shall lament her. The daughters of the nations shall lament her. They shall lament for her, even for Egypt, and all her multitude, saith the Most High Yahweh. And it came to pass also in the 12th year, in the 15th day of the month, that the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, wail for the multitude of Egypt, and cast them down, even her, and the daughters of the famous nations, unto the nether parts of the earth, with them that go down into the pit. He said this in the last chapter. Whom dost thou pass in beauty? Go down and be thou laid with the uncircumcised. They shall fall in the midst of them that are slain by the sword. She is delivered to the sword. Draw her and all her multitudes. The strong among the mighty shall speak to him out of the midst of hell, with them that help him. They are gone down. They lie uncircumcised, slain by the sword. Asher is there in all her company. His graves are about him, all of them slain, fallen by the sword, whose graves are set in the sides of the pit, and her company is round about her grave, all of them slain, fallen by the sword, which caused the terror of the land of the living. There is Elam, and all her multitude round about her grave, all of them slain, fallen by the sword, which are gone down uncircumcised into the nether parts of the earth, which caused their terror in the land of the living. Yet have they borne their shame with them that go down to the pit. They have set her a bed in the midst of the slain, with all her multitude. Her graves are round about him, all of them uncircumcised, slain by the sword, though their terror was caused in the land of the living. Yet have they borne their shame with them that go down to the pit. He is put in the midst of them that be slain. There is Meshach, Tubal, and all her multitude. Her graves are round about him. All of them uncircumcised, slain by the swords, though they caused their terror in the land of the living. They shall not lie with the mighty that are fallen of the uncircumcised, which are gone down to hell with their weapons of war. They have laid their swords under their heads, but their iniquity shall be upon their bones, though they were a terror of the mighty in the land of the living. Yea, thou shalt be broken in the midst of the uncircumcised, and shall lie with them that are slain by the sword. There is Edom, her kings, and all her princes, which with their might are laid by them that were slain by the sword. They shall lay with the uncircumcised, and with them that go down to the pit. There be the princes of the north, all of them, all the Zidonians, which are gone down with the slain. With their terror, they are ashamed of their might, and they lie uncircumcised with them that be slain by the sword, and bear the shame with them that go down to the pit. Pharaoh shall see them, and shall be confounded over all his multitude, even Pharaoh, in all his army, slain by the sword, saith the Most High Yahweh. For I have caused my terror in the land of the living. He shall be laid in the midst of the uncircumcised with them that are slain with the sword, even Pharaoh and all his multitude, saith Yahweh. Yes, brothers and sisters, either he's telling the truth or he's not. Either Ezekiel got this from the Most High or he didn't. Either everything you see on the planet is temporary or it's not. See, all of us have to make decisions individually, one way or the other. Real decisions that's going to have real consequences very, very soon. All of us. So we have to decide and pray by the Spirit of the Creator the way we should go, the path we should take. We really should decide. It's going to take a lot more than we understand, but that's what grace is for. That's what mercy is for. That's right. So praise the Most High. And the Hebrews, not just they would touch the Hebrews, as Stephen Kelly said, we went to them. We wanted to be with them. We wanted to trust in them. That's the problem, you see. We wanted the lover, not the husband. You see, we wanted the lover, not the husband. Well, you and I are going to have to decide. Do we want the husband or don't we? Do we want the Creator or don't we? Do we want his spirit or don't we? We're going to have to decide. Okay? Many people don't even understand this decision that we are now talking about today. You and I are talking about a decision between the Creator or not. There are people on the planet that think, well, this means either Christianity or not. This means either white Jesus or not. This means trust in America or not. Well, no, that's not it. Praise the Most High. And you see, right, they keep talking about going down to the pit. That's destruction. That's eternal destruction. Okay? The bottomless pit, the Revelation calls it. One come up out the bottomless pit. That's the beast that comes against 144,000. But he's going to go back into the bottomless pit. The Bible said he's going to be destroyed forever. He shall go down into perdition. So we're in that situation right now. And we're seeing it right ahead of time. Praise the Most High. Praise the Most High. Okay. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Praise the Most High. Shabbat Shalom. We'll be back later by the grace of the Father Yah. And we'll be starting chapter 33. It's a different vibe on chapter 33. So we'll be talking about that by the grace of the Father. Until then, blessings and shalom. Shabbat Shalom to all.